In the meantime, Sean, UFC 226, headlined by Stipe Miocic and DC. In the meantime, we also have, if you're feeling blessed, we got Max Holloway versus Ortega. Both guys seem to be, they were on, you got one guy that has the title, another one that is surging fast and furious in Ortega, that is following the exact same path that Max Holloway has had. And here we're looking at this point, them being the co-main event, payday for both guys. Couldn't be happier for both these guys getting the big payday and a co-main event spot on UFC 226. What's interesting about this fight is that we're looking at the 145-pound division that was held hostage for what it seems to be for a year and a half long hiatus of Conor McGregor. You have Max Holloway that beat Jose Aldo twice. And, whoops, good job. Way to knock that over. Just like Jose Aldo got knocked out, he just fell off our little desk. So, it has happened. And so now we look at a champion in Max Holloway beating Jose Aldo twice to get to this standpoint. But I'm looking at the whole entire list of champions. And I find it funny that we have two champions on this card. And only one is a true champion. Did you know that? Stipe Miocic is the only true legitimate champ that took the strap off the world champ and raised his hand up as a true champ. Other than that, you had a paper champion versus a paper champion to get a real champion. Max Holloway to go against Ortega. Now this is a time where you put your money where your mouth is, and all that hype that everybody knows that Max Holloway is capable of anything in the world beats Ortega. I'll back off of Max and say that he's a world champ.
Tris, you want to talk about Brian Ortega, Max Holloway, and these two guys that are going to go to war. And I say they're going to go to war is because of the fact that you look at Brian Ortega, 13-0. The guy is a rising superstar in this fight game. You got Max Holloway.
Are we taking anything for granted, though, from Ortega because of the knockout, of the short knockout of Frankie Edgar?
No, because we're not giving Ortega the credit. That's the thing. I don't think everybody's giving Ortega the value in this fight because of the fact that Max Holloway is riding a 12-fight win streak. The fact that Max Holloway is pretty close to ending the division, the featherweight division, completely wiping it off the map because he's this close to ending it. And the only person standing in his way that if he beats Ortega is Conor McGregor. So when you come into this fight, there is so much going on. This is probably should have been the main event in my eyes. Because of the fact that Max Holloway is so marketable going in, he has a lot to lose. Because if he wins this fight, there's no question in my mind that you take UFC and you take it and you launch it into Hawaii. Because you got to beat Bellator to Hawaii now. Because Emma McFarlane retained her title. So either A, Bellator is going to jump on that bandwagon and get to Hawaii before UFC, or the UFC is going to go to Hawaii. This is a race right now. There's a lot riding in on that of Max Holloway. There's not a lot riding on Brian Ortega. He's coming in with a big knockout win over Frankie Edgar. He's riding a hot streak. He's known as T-City. So he's got the whole city of Torrance on his back.
He's got the whole world in his hands. Pretty much it. I'm missing a globe.
But you look at this, and it's just tailor-made for an exciting fight. And, yeah, you may not know what. Champion versus champion automatically gets the main event card. Sure. But when you look at explosiveness, potentially fight of the night caliber,
I'm looking at Holloway versus Ortega.
Because of the fact that he's still defending his title. Still should be the main event in my eyes. You look at the odds from Bovada.lv. Holloway is just a minus 150
Yeah, very close
favorite,
fight.
and Ortega is a 120. You've got basically two perennial strikers. But one thing that people don't know is that Brian Ortega has been a grappler since the age of 13.
And nobody seems to understand that Ortega is well-rounded, a well-rounded fighter. He comes into this with a lot more tools than a lot of people are giving him credit for. And I'm not talking about the tools that he used in high school where he kicked kids' butts for just for fun and got kicked out of schools. No, he's doing this now for a living, and he's coming straight for that. He knows that the lights are on him. He knows. He's been preparing this mentally as well as physically. Max Holloway has been doing the exact same thing. I expect nothing but fireworks from these two fighters. But when I look at the champion versus champion, I look at DC versus Miocic. I look at two guys. I look at a potential Hall of Famer in DC. I look at Miocic, who's the last true champion UFC has. 3 title defenses. All held victorious. DC light heavyweight. Here's the thing. While everybody says he's a Hall of Famer, we talked about Johnny Hendricks' legacy. How about we talk about DC's legacy?
And we'll talk about DC in a minute. So at the end of the day, who do you have? Max Holloway or Brian Ortega? Which way do you go? Which odds are you on?
I want blessed.
You're going Max Holloway.
Out of this fight, blessed Holloway, regardless if anybody wants to say it or not, he needs this victory to shut everybody up about whether or not he's a true champion, whether or not beating Jose Aldo twice and never officially fighting Conor McGregor. He needs this stamp because now he's beat Jose Aldo twice, and the up-and-coming guy that has done exactly what Max has done, shut him up.
So you got Max Holloway just because I like to sometimes go against the grain and give the fans an opportunity to decide on either Tristan's side or Sean's side.
If you like my side,
I'm going
hit
with
the
the-
heart emoji on Facebook. If you like Sean's, give him a thumbs up.
I'm going the underdog, and I'm going Brian Ortega, T-City, for the W.
He has such a bright future ahead of him. Both guys do.
But can Max? I'll leave it on this note, and we'll get to DC. Can Max Holloway defend the takedown?
People are
Because
gonna be.
that's the way
I'm
that's
telling you.
going to be. Oh, look, I just got thumbs up there on my side. What's up?
Dude, that's not cool.
That's what's up.
That's not cool. I should have won that.
Haha, you lost. I won.
That's not cool,
Fight
folks.
fans. So, Tristan, Max Holloway, my side, Brian Ortega. Who do you pick?
I'm staying blessed. I'm just staying blessed. After everything we've gone through, I'm going blessed. I feel blessed.
And apparently Daniel Cormier feels blessed himself to be in this opportunity for champion versus champion.
This guy.
The only thing that bugs me about this is the fact that it's being billed as champion versus champion. But the problem I have with champion versus champion is the fact that DC's title's not on the line. How is DC's title not on the line if you're billing it as champion versus champion? Why? Because they both have straps? You're going after Stipe Miocic and his title, but yet you're not going after DC's. This should have been a unification of the heavyweight title and just basically blend the two.
Dude, you got to play that a little bit longer. You cannot drop a piece like that and not play it longer. Lyle Murdoch drop it in a little bit of business right there. I wish it was a little bit longer, but that's cool. Oh! People want to be dancing right now for DC over Miocic, but dude,
And that's
I want to talk about DC's legacy real quick.
We'll get to that in a second because now you got me talking about dancing. Because of the fact that Stipe Miocic is going to dance. Yeah. He needs to dance in this fight and keep the distance because if you get into a grappling match with DC, you will end. You will lose. So
and that's I absolutely agree with that. DC, go in there, use your wrestling skills, and get Miocic to the ground. I absolutely agree, because the best Miocic is when he's the aggressor and he's moving forward. DC hates people in his face. Being the aggressor, getting him down, walking him back to the cage, DC hates that with a passion. But while we're talking about these two, basically a headline on these two is they're friends. They love each other. They care for one another.
They don't hug each other. They don't want to high five each other.
Right.
At the end of the day,
they don't want to have bad blood coming into this. Man, what happened to this world of combat sports where, man, I don't like you? What happened to the people that, again, you got LeBron James going to Lakers, to LA. You got Boogie Cousins going to Golden State Warriors. Ain't nobody want to compete now. Everybody wants to be best friends.
And that's the thing why I don't believe that this card is going to sell, because of Miocic versus DC. Quite frankly, when you look at it, you've got two guys that are best friends and they're not going to talk smack to each other. But you got Max Holloway and you got Brian Ortega, who are not afraid to sell a card or not afraid to put their best self forward. So when you look at this transition of Miocic, he's got to stop the takedowns. He's got to stop the grinding of DC. He's got to avoid that clinch. He's got to keep that distance. He's got to use that gold glove background and keep it going. Because if he gets into a clinch war, you might as well just roll up and say, yeah, you know what? He's the best heavyweight champion this side since the Klitschko brothers, or since Lennox Lewis or Mike Tyson. But you look at this and you say, well, wait a minute. There are so many negatives going into this. And it's like, if you are Miocic, you're getting pissed off by everybody saying how boring of a fighter you are. How can you be so boring and you don't have anything to offer when you're a firefighter? You have an exciting job. You save people. But yet when you're talking into the media, you reside on tired cliches to get your point across to the general public. I like Miocic. I think he's good. But you can't sell me as them being a main event. You can't sell me as that this is a champion versus champion fight. You could sell me because one's a real champ, one's a fake champ. And the other thing too is like, if you're Miocic and you're in Cleveland, okay, you've got a lot riding on yourself to come out of this as a champion. Because City of Cleveland have absolutely nothing to root for now. Nothing to cheer for. The Cavaliers are back to being dumpster diving for people and hoping that they can get another star player outside of Kevin Love.
I'm sorry, Cleveland Browns, you can't throw it. You can't even cheer for the Cleveland Browns. They can't chuck batteries onto the field like in Philadelphia. It can't happen. So you have nothing to cheer for. The Miz is crying in his Instagram videos because everybody's leaving Cleveland. Nobody wants to be in Cleveland.
The only bright spot in Cleveland right now is the Cleveland Indians. And now they may be even bigger now that the fact that they're in talks with Manny Machado. But that's a different topic for a different show. But there's a lot going on for Miocic. That's a lot of pressure. So why are you not pissed off? Why are you not showing more animation to drive people to you?
Like, are people that are watching it says that a bucket of water has more personality than Miocic?
That's what I'm saying.
I absolutely agree with that. You're seeing it firsthand. We're in an era where you're supposed to talk your way into a fight or make yourself believable as a champ so people buy into you. These two are doing the complete opposite. We're talking about DC and Miocic about whether or not they should be a main event. We should be talking about, we should be focused going into this is, why is it Miocic pissed off? Or how about a story and, hey, newsflash, there isn't a happy ending at the end of this, is that, what about the legacy of DC? Because he has been a poster child and John Jones has been his daddy. So if we could get a chant in Cleveland as during DC's walkout as "Who's your daddy?" and then people chant John Jones. Who's your daddy? John Jones. That's the legacy that he is. That's the legacy that he has built.
Good, bad, or indifferent. Or you
has-
could say the same thing is that, see, you talk about, here, I'll do you guys one better, okay? He's always been good enough. He's never been great enough. He's always been that second fiddle.
Yes, he has.
You're talking about that the fans should start chanting, "Who's your daddy?" and the other crowd should start chanting John Jones. Well, why not start chanting Chael Sanderson? Who's your daddy? Chael Sanderson. For those who don't know who Chael Sanderson is, he's one of the most renowned Olympic wrestlers, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
But see,
Has his own ASICS shoe line.
Sean,
But
hold
this
on.
guy
I have
is
to
a-
touch on something real quick that was brought in. They're saying you can't tie in DC's legacy to John Jones. Ultimately, you can because the body of the work,
Surrounded against John Jones.
it's all around John Jones because he could never become light heavyweight champion facing John Jones.
It's just like you can't say the same thing. His legacy doesn't tie down to Chael Sanderson, but it does. He never went over the top of what Chael Sanderson did in wrestling. He was that second guy. He never achieved the level of greatness John Jones did. He was always that second guy. If he loses to Miocic, he's that second guy.
Yeah. And I think that when you look
the
at it-
legacy of him has
kinda-
always been he's that second guy.
That someone else has always been there.
You know, he's like that guy. He's like that best friend that you always have, that he just pops up and does what you need him to do, and and then disappears. He's that friend. He's that guy. He's your loyal best friend that you can count on. But that's exactly what he is. He's your
He's
best
every
friend.
girl's friend zone guy. That's DC.
He's everybody's side piece.
Never that quite that dime that everybody wants. That's DC. That's just real talk here. DC, good accolades, sure, but he's just never been that guy. Never been the guy. But his body of work ultimately says Hall of Fame. But I think beating Miocic erases everything,
naysayers.
all the naysayers, all the stuff that he is tied to, being that second, being that side chick, being the friend zone, being everybody else's issue, now is fully erased. He will rewrite his own legacy. He'll rewrite why he is the so-called baddest man on the planet, stealing Chael's son's line.
And that's where it goes from here, is that I think at the end of the day, when you look at the odds, and you look at Bovada odds, and you look at the fact that Miocic is minus 265, and you've got Cormier who's a plus 205. Get it? 205? How ironic. But because of his legacy and where it is, and that if he loses this fight, he'll potentially retire, but yet he really wants Brock Lesnar. He really wants other accolades to add to his background. I say he's got to win this fight. I'm going with the underdog. I'm going with Cormier here at a plus 205 to keep this ball rolling, to get a chance to alter him being the second fiddle to everybody's top dollar.
He just wants to be the first choice. I don't blame the guy. He doesn't want.
He just wants to be the good-looking chick in the corner that everybody's afraid to go talk to.
He wants to be the drumstick at Thanksgiving. That's what he wants to be. And at the end of the day,
He's the turducken?
yeah,
He's a blend of you don't know which one you're going to get.
we don't know if he's a duck. We don't know if he's a chicken. We don't know what piece we want. He wants the drumstick. That's all I'm saying. He wants to be at the head of the table. He wants to have the drumstick. The only way he does that, he has to beat Miocic and erase everybody else's doubt.
And you're talking about drumsticks and who wants to be that drumstick. Well, Francis Ngannou is taking on Derek Lewis, who last time we checked retired. Now he's back. In this fight, it's interesting because Ngannou has the opportunity to redeem himself after his RDS fight and basically come back. No, the Miocic fight.
Yes.
Come back and show that his cardio wasn't BS. That his cardio is legit. So when you look at this fight, neither one of these fighters are going to go into deep water. Let's just be real. This fight needs to end in the first round, or else by the second and third round, you're going to be going.
Both guys are going to be exhausted. You're going to have to drop down an oxygen mask to give both of them as they go into deep waters. But I think that's where this fight should essentially go for Derek Lewis to get the win over Francis. Because we saw it kind of with Miocic exploiting holes in Francis's game. And I look at what's going on right now with Derek Lewis, and I think that he could do the exact same thing that Miocic did, but that is a downslide for Francis that he doesn't want to be on.
And you're talking about Derek Lewis. The interesting thing about him is that he's your traditional, I'm going to throw my hands. That's what I'm going to do. Ngannou does the same thing. I'm going to throw my hands. But lately, Derek Lewis has shown the ability to take the fight down to the mat and make it a little bit weird. And when you look at Ngannou, he's going to stand there wanting to trade.
I like how you said that. Make it feel weird.
If he can't avoid the takedowns from Lewis in this fight, then Lewis may very well come out of retirement and again send Ngannou back to the drawing board trying to figure out, well, where do I go from here? What do I need to do to take that next level? Because one thing that Miocic did was take Ngannou into deep waters, make him feel uncomfortable, make him hate life, and make him gas out. Lewis isn't going to do that, and when they both get into the later rounds, you're going to see the gas tank go on to empty, go down to E, and it's like you got 5 miles. Can you make it to the gas station right now? Ready, set, go. Push, chug it, chug it, chug it, chug it, chug it, chug it, chug it.
Like Thomas Train, I wish I could. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can.
That's what you're going to see in the last 2 rounds in this fight, is if the person does not get knocked out or submitted in the first round. This one, I'm going with the latter. Ngannou is the favorite at minus 380, and Lewis is the underdog at 290. This is one underdog I'm passing on. Hard pass. I am good. He can go ahead and continue to stalk Ronda Rousey and Travis Hopper-Brown and continue to do that in retirement. But that's who I have for that one. I guess you're going to agree with me on that one.
Absolutely.
The other one that puzzled my mind was, so you have Kohikin Saki versus Khalil Roundtree. 1-1 versus 6-2. Striker versus striker. Saki saying that he's going to make a statement at the hands of Khalil Roundtree. Show exactly why he's the best kickboxer in the world.
Dude, it could potentially happen.
Like, okay, this is going to be interesting.
I like Khalil Roundtree. I think he has a lot of potential, but I don't know if it's his camp or his mindset. I don't know. But
Roundtree's the underdog, dude.
He's never really materialized to
the level
that I think we were kind of brought to believe with him. He's never really established that.
He's still shown a lot of progress, a lot of growth in his last fight. But he comes in as the underdog.
I see Saki as a world-class kickboxer, and I think, man, that's just a
tip of the iceberg going the other way.
Yeah, Saki's going to come in there, and it's going to be a light show for him. And
and Saki is the favorite. Minus 145, Roundtree plus 145.
And it's a 1-1 versus 6-2, and a guy with 2 professional fights in MMA is the favorite. That's telling you something right there, folks. But